moral victory indeed for the Junkyard Dog.
The tragic end of Junkyard Dog was one of the most heartbreaking moments in wrestling history. The horrific car accident that claimed his life didn't just take away a legend, it left countless fans in shock and sorrow. Today, let's not only reflect on the pain of that accident, but also celebrate the incredible career that made him a beloved icon who still lives on in our hearts. Junkyard Dog died on June 2nd, 1998. He was only 45 years old. His death came suddenly and tragically. He was driving back home from his daughter LaToya's high school graduation in North Carolina when he suffered a fatal heart attack behind the wheel. His car veered off the road in Mississippi, ending the life of a man who once electrified arenas with raw charisma and unshakable energy. The world of wrestling mourned his passing, but behind the tributes and kind words lay a harsher truth. Junkyard Dog didn't get the ending he deserved. His life had spiraled in the years after the bright lights faded. He had battled drug addiction, faced financial problems, and dealt with being pushed aside in an industry he helped build. While many legends were honored with grand send-offs and Hall of Fame moments, Junkyard Dog's final years were quiet, his struggles largely forgotten by a business that had moved on. His story is a reminder that fame is fleeting, and the fall from the top can be just as dramatic as the rise. But to truly understand why the Junkyard Dog deserved better, we need to go back and look at how he became one of wrestling's biggest stars. He was born on December 13th, 1952, in Wadesboro, North Carolina. A natural athlete, he played football at Fayetteville State University, where he majored in political science. Standing 6 feet 3 inches and weighing over 280 pounds, Ritter had the size and strength that made him a perfect fit for football. He even had a shot at the pros, briefly attending training camp with the Green Bay Packers. But after an injury derailed that dream, Ritter found a new path: professional wrestling. He made his wrestling debut in 1977, training under Larry Johnson and breaking in with smaller promotions. Early on, he wrestled under names like Leroy Rochester and Big Daddy Ritter, but it wasn't until he landed in Midsouth Wrestling under promoter Bill Watts that everything changed. It was there that the Junkyard Dog persona was born, complete with a dog collar, chains, and a no-nonsense attitude that connected instantly with fans. Mid-South Wrestling in the early 1980s was one of the hottest territories in the country, and Junkyard Dog was its biggest attraction. What made him different wasn't just his power or presence, it was the way fans rallied behind him. He wasn't just popular, he was beloved. He represented pride, resilience, and hope for a generation of African-American fans who hadn't seen many heroes who looked like them on TV. And when Another One Bites the Dust by Queen hit the speakers, the crowd erupted. JYD headlined cards all across the region and feuded with some of the biggest heels in the business. His rivalries with Ted DiBiase, the Fabulous Freebirds, and Butch Reed were legendary. One of the most memorable storylines came when the Freebirds blinded JYD with hair cream, forcing him to miss the birth of his daughter in the storyline. It was pure wrestling drama, and the fans ate it up. Ritter's charisma was so strong that he didn't need fancy moves or technical mastery. His headbutts, body slams, and power moves were more than enough to ignite a crowd. But he wanted more. In 1984, he made the leap to Vince McMahon's World Wrestling Federation, just as the company was going national. McMahon saw the potential in JYD immediately. He was promoted as one of the top babyfaces, second only to Hulk Hogan in popularity for a time. For a black wrestler in the mid-1980s, that was almost unheard of. JYD debuted at a time when the WWF was becoming a pop culture machine. With his chain, bark, and infectious energy, he became a regular on television, featured in music videos, and even starred in the first few editions of WrestleMania. At WrestleMania 1, he faced Greg the Hammer Valentine for the Intercontinental Championship and won the match by countout. Though he didn't take the title, it was clear that McMahon saw him as a key piece of the puzzle. In 1986, Junkyard Dog won the Wrestling Classic Tournament, one of WWF's first major pay-per-view events. That same year, he was voted Most Inspirational Wrestler by Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Kids adored him. His action figure sold like crazy, and his matches were always met with loud cheers and barking from the crowd. It was rare for any wrestler to have this level of connection with the audience, and JYD had it in spades. But as the years went by, things started to change. Behind the scenes, Ritter's personal life was unraveling. He had developed a serious drug problem, primarily cocaine, which began affecting his performances and his relationships with others in the locker room. His conditioning suffered, and he began to lose the edge that had once made him so electric. The WWF, now filled with younger and faster stars, slowly began phasing him out. By 1988, he was gone from WWF and working with Jim Crockett Promotions, which soon became World Championship Wrestling. While he still had name recognition, his role had diminished. In WCW, he was mostly used in mid-card matches or in tag teams. His feud with Ric Flair briefly reignited fan interest, but it never reached the same heights. He did have some notable moments, like teaming with Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, and even appearing at Clash of the Champions, but he was clearly a star in decline. Despite his setbacks, he never stopped trying. He worked for independent promotions throughout the 1990s, often making appearances in smaller towns and old-school territories. His body had taken a beating, and he was no longer the powerhouse he once was, but fans still remembered. Wherever he went, they still barked for him. He gave them whatever he had left. But the years of physical punishment, substance abuse, and emotional strain had taken a toll. Ritter reportedly spent time in drug rehab and tried to clean up his life in the 1990s. He had periods of sobriety and was working to rebuild his relationship with his daughter. At the time of his death, he was finally in a better place, proud to see his daughter graduate, proud to be a father who was present. That makes the way he died even more tragic. He wasn't in the middle of a relapse. He wasn't spiraling. He was driving home after celebrating one of the most important days in a parent's life. His sudden heart attack cut short any chance at long-term redemption or a full-circle comeback. Just silence. WWE did eventually honor him, but it took time. In 2004, 6 years after his death, Junkyard Dog was posthumously inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame by his old rival, Ernie Ladd. His daughter LaToya accepted the award on his behalf. It was a touching moment, but many fans still felt it came too late. Today, Junkyard Dog isn't mentioned as often as the Hogans, Savages, or Warriors of his era, but he was just as vital to the golden age of wrestling. He wasn't the best technician. He didn't have a ton of titles, but he had something much rarer: heart, connection, and soul. He made people care. And in wrestling, that's everything. The sad truth is that JYD's story follows a pattern we've seen too often in wrestling: a meteoric rise, a crash fueled by personal demons, and a tragic end that leaves fans wondering what could have been. But Junkyard Dog's legacy shouldn't be defined by how it ended. It should be remembered for the joy he brought, the barriers he broke, and the millions who barked along with him. He was a symbol of hope for many, a hero to kids who didn't have many heroes, a powerhouse who walked through the crowd with a chain around his neck and love in his heart. He gave wrestling his everything, and in return, wrestling gave him fame, pain, and eventually, silence. That wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like and hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.